Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Zodiac Bandit, and today I'm going to be recapping and giving my thoughts on Critical Role's Campaign 3, Episode 12. It's been a week, because last week was the Battle Royal, which I enjoyed, by the way. Thought it was nice and fun, but I didn't want to review it because it's just a big fight. So, sorry if that was something you wanted. I highly doubt that. But, we will hop right into Episode 12 of Campaign 3 right now. Imogen is in the library and she finds that the book with her powers is missing some pages. She asks the scribe that is with her how it's possible someone could have taken them out with someone standing right there. The scribe is embarrassed by this because, yes, someone would have been there watching them to make sure it didn't happen, so it's kind of odd. The scribe then goes and checks the records to see who last looked at this book and says it was the Lumos twins. Imogen is then led out of the library back to the group, where she tells them what she found about her powers, about the book, her mother, and the twins checking the book out. She believes her mom was involved in some sort of study about these mind powers and this sort of solar eclipse thing that happens during it when people are created for these powers. She says that she never really knew her mom, which is very sad. She also says that the person that wrote the book isn't working out of this school or this institute. The party talks about going to Hartmoor again, because that is where the twins died. When they might find some more information there about, these pages, and that's where Ashton's job is for Jenna Huxham is. So they think it might be a good idea, but they then realize they have to go to the ball first. They decide it's time to get some rest and go to the Spire by Fire. Laudna and Imogen go back to check on Shudana, and they find that she is not dead, just sleeping, because Matt likes to build up suspense. After a night's sleep, the party want to shop. Now this is where I have a mild problem. I am very much like Travis in the idea that shopping is boring. Like roleplay shopping. In my opinion, it is, how much do you want to spend on this? Go get it. The only time for me shopping is fun with roleplay is magic items. But this time I am in the wrong. I am wrong this time. I usually think that. I think Matt did an excellent job with one part. I think we'll get to that in a minute. But first, Dorian wants everyone to get dressed up for the ball, so he takes them to go get some nice suits, and they go get some fancy stuff, or at least as much as they want to pay for it. That part, where they went and got their clothing, was the part I'm not a fan of. Talking about buying clothes. That, to me, is boring. So I'm skipping over most of it. I do like that most of them picked out stuff that kind of fits them. They matches who they are, much like Dorian wanted them to get. And I think they all do a good job, and they also give FCG some legs, which I think will be funny when we get to the ball. But I do want to move on from it, because it took up quite a bit of time, and it was honestly the boring part of shopping to me. So if you disagree, I'm sorry, but that's just my opinion. I'm very much in the same mindset of Travis of, let's just kind of get shopping over with. But then Matt kills it with the Trove of Marwa. Her shop is badass. They then go to a different spire because they're going to go get potions from the Trove of Marwa. The shop is really cool. It is a ship on one of these spires in the open air with a bunch of portholes and jungle moss growing on it. And when they go inside, the place is a mess. Just like the owner is a mess, but we'll get to her in a minute. Ashton calls out for the owner, and a human girl replies with, yes. She's the one running the place. He tries to lie about his name, but can't think of a good lie, and she kind of laughs at him. They tell Marwa their name. I'm still getting used to the pronouns thing. They tell Marwa their name is Ashton, and Marwa tells them her name is Marwa. I'm saying her name a lot. She seems to be a very skinny human who is, kind of cracked out is the way I'm going to put it. She's cracked out. She's not creeped out by much. And she's not disturbed by this group that walks in, who are a bunch of weirdos. So she's not really, she's in proper company. She gives them a few things, mostly spell components, and gives them an interesting green healing potion that they don't really trust. and tells them that if they come by later or in another day, they will, or she will give them a blood vial that she has misplaced. In this, there's a bit of commotion when a smoke bomb thing goes off, and Ashton takes the opportunity to steal something from Fern, which I forget what it was exactly. So their little rivalry of stealing is still going on, which is fun. After this, Imogen and Orem go to the Lumos house to see if they had the missing pages from the book. They meet Ella, I forget her name, how to say it, out front, and she takes them to the twins' room, where they look around for a bit, but unfortunately don't find the pages from the book. They then ask her if all of their stuff was returned after they died, and she says that she trusts Estene, was I believe the name. I'm totally pronouncing that wrong. And she says that that person would bring everything back, and she is trusted. She was a family friend and was there when the twins were killed and sent everything back, but didn't come back themselves. After that, the party regroups, and FCG identifies the healing potion that Marwa gave them. I'm not saying her name right. It's Marwa, not Marwa. Marwa gave them, and it's a healing potion, but it also has poison resistance. And Fern is kind of upset that Chetney didn't trust her nose about the potion, but Chetney just wanted to be safe. They start talking about FCG and his old group. FCG doesn't remember much outside of the monster that killed them had one eye. Imogen tries to read his mind to find more about this, but she gets basically the same story FCG has been telling them this whole time. Flashes of this monster and then a single eye. And there's some sort of weird blockage, a trauma blockage, and emotions, which, if they hadn't been spelling it out before, FCG does feel emotions, he just doesn't know what they are and how they work. Imogen goes back to the library with FCG to look into Laudna and the Briarwoods to see, and, magic patrons and all that. She learns that the Briarwoods took over Whitestone for 5 years before they were killed by Vox Machina. They owned Whitestone, or took over Whitestone in secret, and kind of, held it for their own nefarious reasons, the ziggurat below. But then Vox Machina killed them with Percy, because that's what they need to do. And then there were rumors and whispers that they were involved with the Vecna events, but it's not necessarily been proven. Imogen also looks into how people get powers from other entities and gods, and learns basically how clerics, paladins, and warlocks get their classes, which I thought was funny. But nothing on really how to ditch a patron and keep their powers afterwards. Just go talk to Ford, Laudna. It's real easy. Just gotta find another one. Later that same night, Orem asks Fern how the Nightmare King would have known her based off her scent. He straight up knew her name, her last name, based off the scent she gave off. She doesn't really know how directly he knows them, but apparently her family were like nobles in the Feywild, and that her grandma could have potentially been dating him, and then she's like, badmouthed him, and now he doesn't like them, blah, blah, blah. Fern's very fun. The next day, Ashton starts a craft project for making masks that is needed for the ball that everyone else forgot about. And now everyone's excited. But Laudna decides she's going to run back to the Trove and get the blood vial from Marwa. She has to pay 300 gold after talking her down a little bit, kind of insulting Marwa too by saying that some of the stuff in her trove is drunk. Drunk? Fuck me. I'm drunk. That some of her stuff is junk. I'm going to leave that in because I like to embarrass myself. Her stuff is junk, but Marwa doesn't see it like that. It's all treasure. But Laudna points out that some of it is still junk. But then she shows off Pate, and that kind of helps seal the deal with Marwa. And then Marwa says, we're friends, and every time you come back, you give me a pastry, because that's what friends do, right? You give me pastries now. That's your thing. She runs back and attunes to the item and finds out it is a Bloodwell vial +1, which gives her some pretty cool stuff. Like 5 sorcery points when she uses hit dice on rests. I would assume that means short rests too, which is kind of nuts. After that, they all start working on their masks, with the exception of Chetney, who finishes off a certain project for Dorian and hands him the airship or airboat as payment for helping him with Gurge. And it's really badass. So I'm really excited to see Travis pull out more of these little baubles for people. For some reason, I highly doubt Travis actually made it, but still, very cool. And after this, they all decide to make their masks, or, well, they're going to make their masks no matter what. They all make their masks. Each of them makes something unique to them, except Ashton, who makes himself look like makes himself look like the Nightmare King, like a boss. So, if I go through them all, Chetney makes a wolf mask. I'm forgetting what Dorian made all of a sudden. Laudna makes a fox mask to go with her fox dress that she grabbed earlier. FCG just wears glasses. I'm also forgetting what Fern made. But Imogen made a little, flashy eye mask, like kind of like superheroes wear. Those are all the masks that I can remember as of right. Oh, right. Orm used some of his carpentry tools to make a wooden mask with cherry blossom designs on it, and it kind of gets Chetney, he gets some respect from Chetney, from the MC, the master craftsman. After that, they go to Lord Esteros's place, and he tells them what their mission will be at the ball, which is actually something I've been kind of thinking about, like what are they going to be doing. So their mission is to take a ring off of Armand Treshy and replace it with a silver ring that has been enchanted to somehow upset the balance of the Chente Quorum in their favor, because he is kind of moving his way up the ladder and trying to get to the face of the Chente Quorum. The party must go into two groups, one with Esteros and one with someone they must create. But instead of creating an identity, they use Dorian's real one after a bit of convincing. He then throws away the masks that he made earlier and replaces it with something more formal, and has to take a suit that is also more formal from Lord Esteros. The plan is to somehow get Dorian close enough to take the ring off and swap it kind of without being noticed. They were talking about potentially just be like, oh, your ring's nice, and kind of showing off the watch and taking it off and trading watches for a minute, like rich douchebags do. The two groups are Dorian, Fern, Orm, and Imogen as Dorian's sort of posse, and then the other group is Lord Esteros with FCG, Chetney, Laudna, and Ashton. After a bit of a plan is set, they decide to, rest up a bit before they go to the ball, and they go up, past the mirror towers where the moon tower once stood, and it seems to be a little iffy for them to go this close, but they're in a carriage, so they're able to just kind of go right past, up even further to where the golden gate of this ball is going to be. And that is where the episode ended. And this, to me, is a perfect example of two different types of shopping episodes. There's the really boring one where they just go and describe what they want and kind of pay a lot of money for it, which was the shopping for me, like the shopping of the dresses. And then there was a very fun interaction with a, interesting character in the Trove of Marwa, where, the one is, I don't want to say like it's bad, because it wasn't bad. It's just, I would rather that go by quick versus the component buying and the magic buying. Magic stuff is really fun to buy, in my opinion, and regular clothing is not. Especially when Lord Esteros had a trunk full of stuff for them to use, and they could have just skipped that hour-and-a-half chunk of the episode, because it took a while. And at one point, Travis even left. Like, he didn't leave the table, but, like, Chetney went outside the shop after getting what he wanted. And I agree. I think shopping like that is really boring. But shopping like at the Trove is very interesting, because there's, it's random bits and baubles and fun little things. The other place is just clothing. That might just be a reflection on me in real life. I don't like clothing shopping in real life anyway. So, yeah, maybe there's some real life bleed in there, in my opinion. But I stand by it. And honestly, like, if you really just take that out, that's a huge chunk of the episode that wasn't needed. So, I mean, it's still fun. We got lots of character stuff. You know, Ashton picked up a Jor Hostian outfit, which is a nice little touch. It made me think of Essek. Like, that would be something Essek would wear. The kind of purple and gray fold over chest with some buttons. And I thought that was really Essek. So, it's kind of interesting to see Ashton, this big beefy barbarian who's going to look too big in it, wear it. And I thought that kind of stuff is good. Like, little character moments, if you're going to do these things, is good. But when you have someone just walk out because they don't want to be in that situation, they want to get it over with as fast as possible, there's a mild problem. I say mild because it's really, really mild. When only one person out of a table of 9 people, want to not do something, it's okay, I think. Let that one person go do their own thing. And he decided to go out and start whittling away on what would later be Dorian's ship. But I do think there is a certain level of maybe we don't do this. Because every time they do a shopping episode, Travis sits out. Travis is not a shopping episode guy. And I happen to agree. I'm not a shopping episode guy. I'm more of a let's go investigate. Let's go prepare. Let's go, fight stuff. Which is what the other 3 quarters of that episode was. So that 1 quarter for me was not the best. I still enjoyed it. I still had a lot of fun watching it. Because obviously these players are amazing at roleplay and kind of visualizing things. But I will point out something that happened. And it is a part of my problem with this. You get people with 2 different ideas of what's happening. Imogen bought a dress with like pointy, shoulder pads or, these 2 like things that shoot out and come to a point. I thought the same way Laura thought, that they were these big obnoxious like points. But everyone else is like, no, it's like sleek shoulder pads. What are you talking about? And that is a mild problem I have with these sort of shopping things. But I'm harping on this way too long. I think the rest of it was fun. I really like the interactions with Marwa. I really like the interactions they had with each other. We got to learn a bit more about, Fern and her family being nobles in the Feywild. We got to learn about FCG. We got to learn he actually has feelings. And we got to learn that, he was with this larger group than just Dancer and the other automatons. So, to me, this was a good episode. I really enjoyed it. I wish we didn't have the first half of the shopping. Only the first half. The second half of the shopping was great. We could go back to Marwa a million times. And hopefully they do, because I think Marwa is going to be the Sean Gilmore Pumat Soul character. But she doesn't start there. I think she can build up to that. And I think the party is going to be the ones who build her to that. Because she doesn't have the boots of walking that Anna wanted. But if they find something they don't need, here you go, Marwa. I definitely think that's going to happen. I think this is going to be a character they can build up and go back to and have her have more bits and baubles and cool like little things to look at. And eventually she finds a strong weapon that she can give to them. I don't know. I really liked Marwa and the Trove of Marwa. I thought everything after the clothing section was fantastic roleplay. Yeah, really, only one complaint. Clothing roleplay. Oh, God. Clothing roleplay. Go away. Anyway, loved the rest of the episode. Loved everything else. I loved it when Laudna pulled out Pate. Always fun to have Pate. She gave him a little suit. Yeah. So, anyway, that's been me. See you guys tomorrow for Legend of Vox Machina, because I gotta go watch that right now, because I've been working and I gotta go watch it now, because I'm obsessed with that show. Alright, see you guys later. Bye.